Have you ever stopped to think about where you leave your rosary at night? It might seem like a small detail, almost unimportant, but what if that one small choice could actually affect your prayer life, your peace of mind, and even the way you connect with God each day? Tonight, I want you to consider something simple yet profound, the place where your rosary rests while you sleep. Many people treat their rosary like any other object, a piece of jewelry, a trinket, or just something to toss on a table. But the truth is, your rosary is more than an object. It's a symbol of faith, a tool for prayer, and a reminder of God's presence in your life. Where you keep it matters. It reflects the respect you have for your spiritual life and even influences how intentional your prayer practice can be. Think about it. If your rosary is left in a messy drawer, scattered on your desk, or thrown carelessly on a nightstand, what message does that send to your subconscious mind? Perhaps it tells you that your prayer life is casual or that connecting with God is optional. But if your rosary is placed intentionally in a sacred, meaningful spot, it tells your heart, your mind, and even your spirit that your prayers are serious, valued, and important. Tonight, I want you to stay with me because I'm going to share the exact place you should keep your rosary and why it can transform your nightly routine, your prayer life, and the way you feel God's presence. This is not just about habit, it's about creating a moment of reverence every single night. So, are you ready to discover the secret that could change how you pray forever? Let's dive in. If you want, I can expand the next section, the introduction, in the same detailed, engaging style next. Do you want me to do that? Introduction: why this simple habit matters. When it comes to spiritual growth, it's often the small things that make the biggest difference. Prayer, reading scripture, attending church. These are all vital. But there are habits so subtle, so overlooked, that most people never think about them, yet they have a powerful impact on your spiritual life. One of these habits is something as simple as where you keep your rosary at night. Think about it for a moment. Your rosary is not just a string of beads, it is a tool, a spiritual companion that guides you closer to God. Each bead, each prayer, each Hail Mary is a step into the presence of the Lord. When you treat it with care, when you place it intentionally, you are making a statement about your faith. You are telling yourself, and even your spirit, that your relationship with God is sacred. Many people underestimate this. They leave their rosary on a cluttered desk, in a drawer, with other items, or even toss it on a nightstand without thought. These small actions may seem harmless, but they subtly influence your mindset. The truth is, when spiritual tools are treated casually, our hearts can also treat prayer casually. If the rosary is hidden away or neglected, it can create a distance between you and the divine, even without you realizing it. On the other hand, when you place your rosary intentionally, you are creating a daily ritual of respect and mindfulness. It's a small act that builds a pattern of spiritual discipline. When you wake up and see your rosary in a specific, meaningful place, it reminds you to start your day with prayer. When you go to bed and place it carefully, it signals to your mind and spirit that your day is ending in peace, in faith, and in gratitude. Over time, this simple habit strengthens your connection to God and reinforces your spiritual growth. Spiritual growth is not only about the big dramatic changes in your life, it's about the small, consistent choices you make every day. Where you keep your rosary may seem minor, but it has the power to influence your prayer life, your focus, and your overall sense of spiritual awareness. Every night, you have the opportunity to create a sacred space, a moment where your faith is honored and your spirit is nurtured. In this video, I'm going to share with you the exact place to keep your rosary at night, a simple change that can transform your spiritual life in ways you might not expect. This is about more than habit. It's about mindset. It's about taking a small action that communicates to your soul that prayer is important, that God's presence is valued, and that your faith matters in your daily life. So stay with me. By the end of this video, you will understand not only where to place your rosary, but also why this small act can make a huge difference in your spiritual journey. This is your chance to take control of a tiny overlooked habit and use it to build a life of deeper faith, stronger prayer, and greater connection with God. The spiritual significance of your rosary, a sacred companion. Your rosary is far more than a string of beads. Each bead, each prayer, and each moment spent in reflection is a direct line to God. It is a tool that guides you through meditation, prayer, and connection with the divine. Because of this, it deserves a sacred and intentional place in your life, especially when you are not actively using it. Placing it carelessly is not just about organization, it's about respect for the spiritual power it represents. A symbol of faith, the rosary is a visible, tangible reminder of your faith. When you see it, you are reminded of God's presence, His love, and your commitment to spiritual growth. Leaving it in random places can diminish the weight of that symbolism, but when you treat it as sacred, giving it a deliberate resting place, you reinforce the idea that prayer and faith are central to your life. A sacred placement signals to your heart that your relationship with God matters deeply, creating a space of reverence. Spiritual practices thrive in environments of reverence. When you have a specific spot for your rosary, you create a mini sanctuary in your own home. That simple act transforms your surroundings into a space that encourages prayer, reflection, and mindfulness. It is not the physical location alone that matters, but the intentionality behind the placement. By designating a sacred place, you are inviting God's presence into that space every time you approach it. A constant reminder of prayer. The rosary, placed intentionally, acts as a gentle reminder to pray. When you see it before bed, it can prompt a moment of reflection on your day. When you wake up, it can inspire you to begin your day with prayer. This daily visual cue strengthens spiritual discipline and keeps your mind attuned to God's presence. Over time, this small practice embeds prayer naturally into your routine, making faith an effortless and constant part of your life. Honoring the power of the rosary. Each prayer said on the rosary is more than repetition. It is an act of devotion, a meditation on the life of Christ, and the intercession of the Blessed Mother. By placing your rosary with care, you honor this sacred purpose. It communicates gratitude, respect, and acknowledgement that this spiritual tool is more than an object. It is a vessel for divine connection. This respect can deepen the reverence with which you approach prayer, enhancing your spiritual experience. Intention shapes your spiritual life. Intentionality is at the heart of spiritual growth. Every action, no matter how small, has the power to shape your mindset. When you intentionally choose a place for your rosary, you are telling yourself and your spirit that faith matters. You are training your heart to value spiritual practice and recognize the sacred in everyday life. Over time, these small acts of reverence compound, fostering a stronger, more consistent prayer life and a deeper awareness of God's presence. A daily act of faith. Even a simple habit, like placing your rosary in a special spot, becomes a daily act of faith. It reminds you that spiritual growth is not only found in grand gestures or extended prayers, but also in the consistent small practices that honor God. By giving your rosary a sacred place, you are creating a ritual that strengthens your devotion and nurtures your spiritual journey every single day. The practical importance, building mindfulness through placement. Spiritual growth is not only about understanding God or saying prayers, it's also about creating habits that reinforce your connection to Him. One of the simplest yet most effective habits is choosing the right place for your rosary. Where you place it at night might seem trivial, but it has a profound impact on your mindfulness, your focus, and your consistency in prayer. Visual cues encourage prayer. Our minds respond to visual cues. When your rosary is placed intentionally, in a clear, visible spot, it acts as a reminder to pray. You don't have to overthink it. The rosary itself becomes a prompt for reflection. Leaving it in a drawer or tossing it carelessly on a table removes that gentle nudge. By keeping it in the right place, your mind is subconsciously reminded to connect with God. Over time, this simple cue helps turn prayer into a natural, almost automatic part of your daily routine. Fostering consistency. Consistency is the key to building spiritual discipline. Just as athletes train daily to build physical strength, the soul grows stronger with regular prayer. When your rosary has a designated spot, it becomes easier to maintain this consistency. You don't waste time searching for it or putting it off because it's out of reach. Each night, placing it carefully in the same spot reinforces the habit of nightly reflection and devotion. Small actions repeated consistently lead to major spiritual growth. Encouraging mindful prayer. Mindfulness is about being present, focused, and intentional in what you do. Prayer is most powerful when approached with mindfulness, not as a hurried routine or distraction. By placing your rosary intentionally, you are creating a mini ritual, an act that signals to your mind, body, and spirit that it's time to slow down, reflect, and connect with God. The physical act of placing your rosary in its spot is itself a reminder to enter a mindful, prayerful state. Avoiding distractions. Where your rosary rests can also reduce distractions. If it's left among clutter or in a chaotic space, it's easy for your mind to wander, for stress to creep in, or for prayer to feel rushed and disconnected. By keeping it in a clean, intentional, and serene spot, you set the stage for prayer that is calm, focused, and meaningful. Your surroundings influence your spiritual state more than you might realize, and a small change can make a big difference in how present you are in each prayer. A simple yet powerful practice. It's amazing how such a simple habit, deciding on a specific place for your rosary, can have such a significant impact. Spiritual growth is often found in the small, practical decisions that support our larger faith journey. The right placement of your rosary is not about superstition, it's about practical wisdom. It helps you stay consistent, mindful, and intentional in your prayer life, turning everyday moments into opportunities for deeper connection with God. Connecting action to intent. Spiritual practices are most effective when action aligns with intent. By placing your rosary carefully each night, you physically demonstrate the value you place on prayer. This alignment of action and intent strengthens your commitment and reinforces the sacredness of your practice. Over time, it becomes a habit that shapes not just your nightly routine, but your overall approach to faith and mindfulness. Reveal the exact place where your rosary belongs. Now that we've discussed why your rosary deserves a sacred place and the practical benefits of intentional placement, it's time to answer the question you've been waiting for: the exact place where you should keep your rosary at night. This is not just a suggestion, it is a simple, powerful habit that can transform your prayer life and deepen your spiritual connection. A clean, visible spot. The first principle is visibility. Your rosary should not be hidden away in a drawer or buried under other items. When it's visible, it serves as a constant, gentle reminder of your faith and commitment to prayer. A visible spot reinforces mindfulness, keeps you spiritually aware, and makes it easier to reach for your rosary without thinking twice. Think of it as a small altar, a place where your heart can naturally turn toward God at the beginning or end of the day. Close to where you pray. The best spot is near your regular place of prayer. If you have a prayer corner, a small table, or a designated area for spiritual reflection, placing your rosary there makes it accessible and symbolic. When your rosary is close to your prayer space, it connects the physical act of picking it up with the spiritual act of praying. This connection strengthens your habit and makes your prayers more intentional. Away from distractions, another key consideration is peace. Your rosary should be placed somewhere calm, away from electronic devices, clutter, or anything that can distract you. The goal is to create a mini sanctuary, even if it's just a corner of your bedroom or a small shelf. When your environment supports focus, your mind is free to enter a state of calm, reflection, and connection with God. A place that feels sacred. Spirituality is deeply connected to feeling. Your rosary deserves a spot that feels intentional, respected, and sacred. It could be on a small wooden stand, a folded cloth, or a simple dish, anything that gives it prominence and dignity. This isn't about luxury, it's about honoring the rosary as a spiritual tool. The act of placing it there each night becomes a ritual, reminding you that prayer is important and sacred, within reach, but not carelessly. The ideal spot is within easy reach, but not tossed carelessly. It should be convenient enough that you can pick it up without effort, yet intentional enough that you don't treat it like a casual object. This balance encourages consistency without reducing the reverence of your practice. Over time, simply placing your rosary in this spot becomes an automatic act of devotion, embedding spiritual discipline into your nightly routine. Consistency matters. The true power of this habit comes from repetition. Place your rosary in this exact spot every night. Over time, it becomes a cue for reflection, prayer, and mindfulness. Your mind and spirit begin to recognize that when the rosary is in its place, it signals a moment of sacred connection. This simple nightly action reinforces faith, focus, and spiritual growth in ways that are easy to maintain and deeply effective. A small change, a big impact. Remember, it's not about a complicated ritual or a perfect setting. It's about intention, respect, and consistency. By giving your rosary a specific, meaningful place, you are creating a spiritual habit that nurtures your faith every single night. This small change can transform the way you approach prayer, making it a more mindful, consistent, and heartfelt practice. Why this place works. Spiritual and practical benefits. Now that you know the exact place to keep your rosary at night, it's important to understand why this spot works. It's not just about aesthetics or convenience, it's about creating a habit that strengthens both your spiritual life and your daily routine. Let's explore the spiritual and practical benefits in simple, relatable terms. Encourages daily prayer. The first and most obvious benefit is that it encourages daily prayer. When your rosary has a designated spot, it becomes a visual cue. Each time you see it, your mind is gently reminded to pause, reflect, and pray. This small trigger helps make prayer a natural part of your day, rather than something you have to force yourself to remember. Over time, this consistent practice strengthens your relationship with God. Builds mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to be present in the moment. Prayer is most effective when you are fully aware and intentional, not distracted or rushed. By placing your rosary in a clean, intentional spot, you create a mini sacred space that encourages focus. The act of picking it up each night signals to your mind that it's time to slow down and center yourself. This small habit trains your mind to enter a prayerful, mindful state more easily. Shows respect for your faith. Where you place your rosary reflects how you value your faith. Leaving it in a drawer or scattered on a table sends a subtle message that prayer is casual, but giving it a dedicated spot communicates respect not only to yourself, but also to God. This small act of reverence can deepen the sincerity and quality of your prayers because it reminds you that faith is sacred, and so are the tools that guide you in it. Reduces stress and distraction. A cluttered or chaotic environment can make it difficult to focus during prayer. When your rosary has a specific, serene place, it reduces distractions. You don't waste time searching for it or feeling frustrated when it's misplaced. This creates a calmer, more peaceful atmosphere that is conducive to reflection, meditation, and prayer. Your environment begins to support your spiritual practice rather than hinder it. Reinforces consistency. Consistency is key to spiritual growth. Small, repeated actions build habits that last a lifetime. Placing your rosary in the same spot every night reinforces the habit of prayer. You don't have to think about it. The action becomes automatic, a part of your routine. This consistency strengthens your spiritual discipline making it easier to stay connected with God even during busy or stressful days. Creates a spiritual anchor. Your rosary becomes more than an object, it becomes a spiritual anchor. Each night, as you place it in its designated spot, you are creating a tangible symbol of your faith and commitment. Over time, this small repeated action builds a sense of stability and grounding in your spiritual life. It becomes a quiet, powerful reminder that God is always present, even in the simplest routines. Easy to maintain, easy to grow. Finally, this habit is simple and practical. You don't need fancy setups or complex rituals. Just a clean, visible, intentional place is enough to make a difference. Because it's easy to maintain, it's easy to grow. You can expand this practice into other areas of your spiritual life, creating more rituals that encourage reflection, mindfulness, and connection with God. Small habit, big impact. Deepening your prayer life. It's easy to underestimate the power of small habits, especially when it comes to spiritual growth. Yet, the simple act of placing your rosary in the right spot each night can have an enormous impact on your prayer life. What may seem like a minor detail is actually a doorway to consistency, mindfulness, and a deeper connection with God. Let's explore how this small habit transforms your spiritual journey. Consistency builds spiritual strength. Spiritual growth, like any form of growth, thrives on consistency. Big gestures or occasional prayers are helpful, but true transformation comes from small, repeated actions. By making a habit of placing your rosary intentionally each night, you reinforce the rhythm of prayer in your life. Over time, this consistency becomes automatic. You begin to look forward to these quiet moments, and prayer shifts from being a task to being a natural daily rhythm. Mindfulness becomes natural. When your rosary has a dedicated, visible spot, it encourages mindfulness. The simple act of reaching for it signals to your mind that it's time to pause, focus, and enter a state of reflection. This small physical cue trains your mind to be present during prayer. You start to notice your thoughts, emotions, and connection with God more deeply. Over time, mindfulness becomes an ingrained part of your prayer practice, making each session more meaningful and effective. Creating sacred space. A designated place for your rosary transforms a corner of your room into a mini sanctuary. This doesn't require elaborate setups. It's the intention behind the placement that matters. When you place your rosary carefully, it communicates respect for your faith and your spiritual practices. That sense of reverence carries into your prayers, helping you approach God with sincerity, gratitude, and focus. Strengthening your relationship with God. Each night, placing your rosary in its special spot becomes an act of devotion. It's a subtle but powerful way of saying, God, I value my connection with you. Small, consistent acts like this deepen your relationship with the Lord. They remind your heart and mind that prayer is a priority and that you are committed to growing spiritually. Over time, these little acts of devotion accumulate, creating a profound sense of closeness and intimacy with God. Reducing mental clutter. Life is busy and our minds are often cluttered with responsibilities, worries, and distractions. A simple habit like placing your rosary in a specific spot reduces mental chaos. You no longer waste time looking for it or feeling guilty for neglecting it. Instead, the habit creates a clear signal: it's time for prayer. This clarity allows your heart and mind to focus, making your spiritual practice calm, intentional, and restorative. Small actions have ripple effects. The beauty of small spiritual habits is that they create ripple effects. One simple nightly action leads to more reflection, more prayer, and eventually a deeper spiritual awareness. You may find yourself more patient, more compassionate, and more connected with God throughout the day. The habit of placing your rosary intentionally doesn't just affect your nights, it transforms your entire spiritual life. A habit that's this easy to maintain. Finally, the best part about this habit is that it's simple. No elaborate rituals, no complex steps, just a clean, intentional place for your rosary. Because it's easy to maintain, it's sustainable. This ensures that the spiritual benefits last for years to come, turning a small nightly action into a lifelong source of strength, focus, and devotion. This small habit proves that even the simplest actions done consistently and intentionally can profoundly deepen your prayer life. It's a small effort with a big impact, one that nurtures faith, mindfulness, and a closer relationship with God. Common mistakes people make: gentle corrections for a stronger prayer life. Even with the best intentions, many people unknowingly develop habits that limit the power of their prayer life. When it comes to the rosary, small missteps can quietly reduce mindfulness, consistency, and spiritual connection. By identifying these common mistakes, you can make simple corrections that have a lasting impact on your faith journey. Mistake 1: tossing the rosary carelessly. One of the most frequent mistakes is treating the rosary like any ordinary object, tossing it onto a nightstand, leaving it in a drawer, or shoving it into a bag sends a subtle message to your mind and spirit that it is not sacred. This careless treatment can unconsciously lead to a casual approach to prayer. Gentle correction: treat your rosary with respect by designating a specific clean and visible spot for it. This simple adjustment reinforces its sacredness and encourages more intentional, focused prayer. Each time you place it carefully, your heart is reminded that prayer is important, valued, and worthy of attention. Mistake 2: hiding it away. Some people think they are protecting their rosary by hiding it in a drawer or closet. While it might stay safe from dust or misplacement, this approach removes the visual cue that encourages prayer. Out of sight often becomes out of mind, and your nightly or morning prayer habit may slowly weaken. Gentle correction: keep your rosary in a place that is both safe and visible. Even a small corner on a bedside table, a folded cloth, or a simple stand is enough to remind you of your commitment to prayer. The goal is to create a consistent prompt that draws you toward reflection rather than letting it sit forgotten. Mistake 3: letting environment distract you. Another common mistake is placing your rosary in a cluttered or distracting area. For example, next to electronics, papers, or other objects that pull your attention elsewhere. When you reach for your rosary amid chaos, your mind may struggle to focus and your prayers can feel rushed or distracted. Gentle correction: create a calm, intentional space for your rosary, free from distractions. A small, tidy spot communicates respect for your spiritual practice and encourages mindfulness. The physical environment supports your inner focus, making prayer a more meaningful, reflective experience. Mistake 4: inconsistency in placement. Some people place their rosary in a different spot each night, thinking the location doesn't matter. While this may seem harmless, inconsistency weakens the mental cue that supports regular prayer. The habit of picking it up and placing it in the same spot reinforces mindfulness, discipline, and spiritual awareness. Gentle correction: always place your rosary in the same designated spot. Over time, this builds a subconscious association between that location and prayer. Your mind and spirit will naturally recognize it as a signal for reflection, making prayer a seamless part of your daily routine. Turning mistakes into opportunities. Recognizing these common mistakes is not meant to discourage you, it is an invitation to grow. Every small misstep can be corrected with awareness and intention. By treating your rosary with care, keeping it visible, and creating a distraction free environment, you turn simple habits into powerful tools for spiritual growth. Small adjustments, big results. The beauty of correcting these mistakes is that the changes are simple, practical, and easy to maintain. You don't need complex rituals or expensive tools. Just mindful placement and gentle consistency can dramatically enhance your prayer life. By correcting these small errors, you create an environment and a habit that naturally encourages prayer, reverence, and connection with God. Encouragement to build the habit, making prayer a nightly practice. Building a habit, especially a spiritual one, can feel daunting at first. Yet, the simplest actions often create the deepest impact. Placing your rosary in a dedicated, intentional spot each night is one of those small actions that, when practiced consistently, can transform your prayer life. Let's explore why this habit is so powerful and how you can make it a part of your daily routine. Start small, stay consistent. The key to building any habit is consistency, not perfection. You don't need elaborate rituals or hours of prayer to see results. Simply placing your rosary in its special spot every night is enough to create a meaningful spiritual practice. Start with one intentional placement and repeat it nightly. Over time, this simple act becomes automatic, embedding prayer into your life naturally. Transform a simple action into a spiritual anchor. Each time you place your rosary in its designated spot, you are performing a small act of devotion. This act serves as a spiritual anchor, grounding your day and reminding you of God's presence. It may seem like a minor gesture, but these repeated actions compound over time, strengthening your faith, focus, and connection with God. Small, consistent acts of devotion often lead to the most profound spiritual growth. Connect mind, heart, and spirit. This habit works because it engages your mind, heart, and spirit simultaneously. The physical act of placing your rosary signals intention. Your heart begins to feel reverence and gratitude, and your mind becomes focused on prayer. By linking your body's actions with your spiritual intentions, you create a holistic practice that reinforces mindfulness, devotion, and consistency. Create a sense of sacredness. Consistency in placement also helps cultivate a sense of sacredness. Your rosary is not just an object, it is a tool for spiritual reflection and connection. By dedicating a specific spot for it, you are showing respect and reverence. This small act signals to yourself and your spirit that prayer matters, that faith is important, and that your relationship with God deserves intentionality. Overcoming challenges. At first, building a nightly habit can feel challenging. Life gets busy, distractions appear, and it's easy to forget. But remember, spiritual growth is a journey, not a race. Don't aim for perfection, aim for persistence. Even if you miss a night, return to the habit the next evening. What matters most is your intention and commitment over time. The ripple effect. The beauty of this habit is that its impact goes beyond placing a rosary. It strengthens discipline, increases mindfulness, and fosters a deeper connection with God throughout your day. A small, consistent practice at night can influence how you approach prayer, reflection, and even decision making during the day. One simple act creates a ripple effect that enhances your spiritual life in ways you might not immediately notice, but will grow over time. Encouragement to begin tonight. There's no better time to start than tonight. Take a moment, choose a spot for your rosary, and place it there with intention. Let this small act become your nightly ritual. Over time, it will grow into a habit that nurtures your prayer life, strengthens your spiritual focus, and deepens your connection with God. Your habit, your faith, your growth. Remember, this is not about perfection, it's about consistent effort, mindfulness, and reverence. By adopting this simple nightly practice, you are taking control of your spiritual growth in a practical, achievable way. Small habits like this are the building blocks of a rich, consistent, and meaningful prayer life. Reflective invitation. Pause and consider your rosary habits. Before we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on your current relationship with your rosary. How do you treat it? Where do you keep it at night? These simple questions may seem small, but they carry a lot of weight. Reflection is the first step toward growth, and understanding your habits can open the door to deeper, more meaningful prayer. Assess your current practice. Think about your nightly routine. Do you have a place for your rosary, or does it end up scattered, forgotten, or tucked away in a drawer? Be honest with yourself. Awareness is powerful. By simply recognizing how you handle your rosary, you gain clarity about the small choices that either strengthen or weaken your spiritual life. This is not about judgment. It's about understanding where you are today so you can move forward intentionally. Imagine the impact of a small change. Now imagine what would happen if you adopted a simple nightly habit, placing your rosary in a clean, visible, and intentional spot. Picture yourself reaching for it each night without thinking, your mind calm, your heart focused, and your spirit ready to connect with God. Visualize how this small, consistent act could create a ripple effect in your prayer life, bringing more mindfulness, reverence, and devotion into your days. Small changes can lead to profound results when they are practiced consistently. Connect action with intention. Reflection helps bridge the gap between action and intention. By thinking about your current habits, you can align them with your spiritual goals. Ask yourself, am I treating my rosary as a sacred tool or as a casual object? Am I creating moments of focus or letting distraction dominate? By answering honestly, you can begin to take intentional steps that align your actions with your faith. Recognize opportunities for growth. Every spiritual practice has room for improvement, and your rosary habits are no exception. This reflective moment is an opportunity to see where you can grow. Perhaps you will notice that placing your rosary in a dedicated spot is something you've never tried, or maybe you've been inconsistent, letting life's distractions take priority. Recognizing these opportunities is empowering. It reminds you that small practical changes can have a big impact on your prayer life. The power of visualization. Visualization is a tool that helps reinforce spiritual habits. Picture yourself each night placing your rosary in its intentional spot, feeling calm, focused, and connected. Imagine the sense of peace and reverence that grows over time. This mental rehearsal prepares your heart and mind to turn intention into action, making it easier to adopt this habit consistently. Encouragement to take the first step. Reflection is powerful, but action is transformative. After considering your current habits and imagining the positive change, commit to taking the first step tonight. Choose a spot for your rosary. Place it there with intention and see how it feels. This small act is the beginning of a spiritual habit that grows stronger with every repetition. By pausing, reflecting, and acting, you set yourself on a path to deeper prayer, mindfulness, and connection with God. Your spiritual journey starts here. Remember, your spiritual growth is shaped by consistent, intentional actions. Reflecting on your habits is just the start. It's what you do next that makes the difference. By making a simple adjustment in how you treat your rosary, you are creating a foundation for a more mindful, focused, and meaningful prayer life. Your journey toward deeper connection with God begins with awareness, reflection, and a small intentional act each night. Spiritual motivation, the power of small, consistent actions. Faith is not built overnight. It grows gradually, nurtured by small, consistent actions that reflect our commitment, intention, and desire to connect with God. When it comes to prayer, even minor habits like placing your rosary in a dedicated spot each night can have a profound effect on your spiritual life. These small actions create momentum, shape your mindset, and strengthen your connection with the divine. Faith grows through daily practice. Spiritual growth is rarely dramatic. It is often quiet and incremental. Every day you are given opportunities to strengthen your faith through consistent practice. When you adopt small intentional actions like caring for your rosary, you are building a foundation for your spiritual life. Each night, as you place your rosary in its special spot, you reinforce the habit of prayer and devotion. Over time, these small, repeated actions compound, creating a deeper, more resilient faith. Consistency creates spiritual momentum. Consistency is like water slowly shaping stone. The more consistent you are in your spiritual practices, the stronger your connection with God becomes. Placing your rosary intentionally every night may seem small, but it is a step toward creating a lifelong pattern of prayer. The daily repetition trains your mind and heart to prioritize faith, making it easier to remain spiritually focused even during busy or challenging times. Small actions build mindfulness. Mindfulness in prayer comes from being present and intentional. When you make a habit of placing your rosary in a visible sacred spot, it becomes a daily cue to pause, reflect, and connect. This act helps you develop a habit of mindfulness that extends beyond prayer, influencing how you approach your day, your decisions, and your interactions with others. Small actions like this teach your heart to value presence and intention, strengthening your connection with God. Every small intentional action is a step closer to God. By treating your rosary with respect, placing it carefully, and committing to nightly prayer, you signal your dedication to the relationship you are building with Him. Faith grows not just through words or thoughts, but through actions. Each deliberate choice reinforces your spiritual connection, reminding you that prayer is a priority and that God is present in every moment of your life. The cumulative effect of simple habits. The power of small actions lies in their cumulative effect. One night of placing your rosary in its designated spot may seem insignificant, but do it consistently, night after night, and the impact multiplies. You begin to notice subtle changes in your mindset, your focus, and your sense of peace. These habits form the backbone of spiritual resilience, providing stability and strength even when life feels chaotic or overwhelming. Encouragement to keep going. It's easy to underestimate small actions, thinking they are too minor to make a difference. But the truth is that faith grows in these quiet, repeated moments. Each night you honor your rosary, each prayer you offer, and each act of mindfulness builds spiritual depth. Don't be discouraged if progress feels slow. Growth often happens quietly and steadily. Trust that consistent effort will lead to profound transformation over time. Your spiritual life is in your hands. The beauty of spiritual growth is that it is shaped by your choices. By embracing small intentional actions, you take control of your prayer life and your connection with God. Faith is strengthened through repetition, mindfulness, and devotion. Each night, when you place your rosary with intention, you are nurturing your spiritual life and laying the groundwork for a richer, more meaningful relationship with the Lord. Now that you've learned the exact place to keep your rosary at night and the powerful benefits of this simple habit, it's time to take action. I want to hear from you. How do you currently handle your rosary? Do you have a special spot, or is it often left scattered or forgotten? Take a moment to reflect and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences can inspire others and create a supportive community focused on spiritual growth. Sharing your story is more than just a comment. It's a way to engage with others who are on the same journey. Maybe you've already developed a nightly habit that strengthens your prayer life, or perhaps this video has motivated you to start. Either way, your insight can help others see the small, practical steps they can take to deepen their connection with God. If you found this video helpful, I encourage you to share it with friends or family who might benefit from learning about the power of a simple nightly rosary habit. You never know who might be struggling to create a consistent prayer practice, and sharing this knowledge could make a meaningful difference in their spiritual journey. Finally, don't forget to subscribe for more spiritual guidance. By subscribing, you'll receive regular insights, tips, and encouragement to strengthen your faith and grow closer to God. Make this channel a place where you return for inspiration, motivation, and practical steps to deepen your prayer life. Remember, spiritual growth comes from small, consistent actions. Starting tonight, take one simple step. Place your rosary in a dedicated spot and watch how it transforms your prayer life over time. Comment, share, and subscribe, and let's grow together in faith, mindfulness, and devotion.